It's in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, where what does Mahaprabhu say to Srivas Thakur? He just has to clap 3 times, Lakshmi Devi will supply everything. He said, he is so dear to me, Srivas Thakur. This is Srivas of the Panchatattva. We can't imagine how dear he is to Mahaprabhu. Right? Rupa Goswami in his Chaitanyastakam once says, Swarupa Tulyam, Jagata Tulyam Advaita Dvaita, Prapanna Srivas, Paramananda Gaurima, Harir Dinodari Gajapati Kripot Sekatarala, Sat Chaitanya Kame Punarapidashor Yashati Padam, Swarupam Bibrano Jagata Tulyam Advaita Dvaita. So, Rupa Goswami's poetry is so beautiful, and sometimes what Srila Guru Maharaj has written is also compared, because you have ontology. This is what Srila Keshava Maharaj said, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Maharaj, who took sannyas from Srila Guru Maharaj and gave sannyas to Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada. When he heard the Prema Dhamma Deva Stotram, with joy, he said, no one can compete with him. So because we find here this perfect combination of ontological substance and poetic beauty. Sometimes the substance is there, but the language is not so nice. Or, I mean, not so nice in the sense of the poetic sense. Other times, the poetry, the style is very charming, but the substance isn't there. Right? So, of the two, we can tolerate when the substance is there, and maybe the language is a little stilted, or it's not the most charming flow. I don't want to speak in any way to commit offense. Right? One of the offenses of the holy name, blaspheme the scriptures. But in a sweet way, Srila Gurudev said, some of the things Veda Vyasa has written, like we hear the grandeur of those slokas, like Janmadyasya yaton bayad itaratas cha arteshu abhigya swarat tene brahma hridaya adi kavaye muhyanti yat suraya tejo bari mridam yata binimayo yatra trishargo mrisha damna svena sada nirastakukam satyam param dhimahi. That's beautiful. But Gurudev said, that's like the dance of elephants. Like, you're astonished, but you don't want to come too close. You want to watch from afar the dance of the elephants. It's not so inviting, but that majestic rhythm there. He said, whereas when Veda Vyasa, and it's composed by Veda Vyasa, when he comes to the Gopi Gita, in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, when these expressions come from the Braja Gopis, then this very sweet, the meter changes, and we have Tava Katam Ritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibir Iditam Kalmasha Apaham Sravana Mangalam Srimad Atatam Bhuvi Grananti Te Buridajana. So this Tava katamritam ta, tava katamritam ta, the first and the 7th rhyme, and there's other internal rhyme. The alankar, the poetic ornamentation is there, and also the ontological substance. So when Srila Keshava Maharaj gave this praise to Srila Guru Maharaj, like Papo Tapa Dava Daha Dagda Duka Kanditam Krishna Nama Siddhu Dama Danya Dana Sagaram Prema Dama Deva Meva Nomi Gaura Sundaram, or the Pranamami Sada Prabhupada Padam, like Sujanar Buddharadita Pada Jugam, ends on yugam, yuga dharma durandara patraparam, bara dayaka puja padam, pranamami shada prabhupada padam, guna manjari gorima guna haribasana nayanam. Very sweet, but the substance is there. Swarna koti darpanava deho varna gauravam, padma parijata ganda banditanga sauravam, koti kami murchitangri rupa rasa rangaram, prema dama devam eva nomi gaura sundaram. Hearing these type of slokas, Kesava Maharaj said, no one can compete with him. There's no contest. Amen. That spiritual substance and the beauty, the poetic beauty. So Rupa Goswami is saying, Swarupam Bibrano Jagatatulyam Advaita Daita. Swarupa Bibrano. He's saying there's no one, Jagatatulyam, in the universe who compares to Swarup Damodar. As we've heard, Mahaprabhu Ditiya Kalevar. He's Mahaprabhu's second self. He's Mahaprabhu the second, you could say. The storehouse of Krishna Prem. He's the Bandari. So it's saying, no one compares. Guru Maharaj said, Swarupa, Sri Gauranumatam, Swarupa Viditam. Only Swarup knows fully. So also, any description, any so-called ontological glossing that is contrary to what has been given by Swarup Damodar, we summarily dismiss that, reject it out of hand as being authentic or substantial. Right? Swarup Damodar, it had to go through his ear first before it goes to Mahaprabhu. If whatever you're conceiving cannot pass the Swarup Damodar test, it's rejected as apasiddhantic, apasiddhanta, contrary, against Bhakti Siddhanta, against Bhakti Siddhanta. Right? So, Swarupam, Bibrano, Jagatatulyam, but this is the beauty of Rupa Goswami and the genius of Rupa Goswami. Another meaning, the Swarup of Mahaprabhu is Jagatatulyam. It's incomparable. There's nothing within the world of beauty or so-called beauty that can possibly compare with this. Right? So when Guru Maharaj, he says, in parallel, in his Koti Kami Murchitangri Rupa Rasa Rangaram, the 10 million cupids will faint to see the beauty of Mahaprabhu. And this is how we should think. We already, as a given, have Krishna, reality the beautiful. Right? Yang Shama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam. Krishna is inconceivably beautiful. Right? He's Navayovana. And he's in the eternal becoming of youthful beauty. Kaishor, Kishore, Braja Kishore, Shama Sundar Krishna. So he's already inconceivably beautiful. How can he become any more beautiful than that? Right? He's Bhushana, Bhushanan Angam. Ornaments become beautiful by, he's not beautified by ornaments. Ornaments become beautiful by being on Krishna. Right? So, how can he become more beautiful? Radha Bhava Duti Subolita. If he is enveloped, enriched by the heart and halo of Srimati Radharani, becomes inconceivably more beautiful. So as we heard, Cupid, Kandarpakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham, that Krishna's beauty is comparable to 10 million cupids personified as one, that type of irresistible attraction. Right? Therefore, Krishna But here, that's 10 million cupids personified one. Here we're told, Koti kami murchitangri rupa rasarana. 10 million cupids, if they have a glimpse of the beauty of Mahaprabhu, will faint. As written by Guru Maharaj that way, and Rupa Goswami, Hiranyanam Lakshmi Varan Abhibavan Angika Rucha. What does it say? Oh. Raso Dama Kamar Buddha Madura Damojvala Tanur Jatinam Utanksha Tarani Karani Vidyoti Basana. In his description of Mahaprabhu, he's saying 10 million Raso Dama Kamar Buddha. Kama, Arbuddha, again means 10 million cupids in full rasic bloom, in full cupid intensity. So he's not just saying, not just generic cupids, but cupids when they're in their most their greatest degree of cupidity. Right? Radiant with that, he's saying, Madhurojvala Tanur. This is the type of radiance that's coming from the divine form. This sweet radiance emanating from Mahaprabhu. Jatinam utanksha tarani kara vidyoti vasana. So intense that his sannyas vesh, his saffron garments, they're glowing. If someone will look, who has the eyes to see, they'll see that his very dress is glowing, coming in connection with his divine form. Hiranyanam Lakshmi Varan Vabhivavan Angika Rucha. Radha Ruchi Rachavritam. Same thing in Guru Maharaj elsewhere. Why? He said that radiance, Guru Maharaj said, not like just ordinary gold. But if you take gold and take it to its highest degree of radiance, like I've seen, sometimes when they have a gold bar or sometimes for a test, they break it or cut it. If you can see that gold when it's right at that point, it looks, Prabhupada wrote in one place, molten gold, like when it's liquid before. It's whatever gold is to begin with, it's that to the nth degree. It's dazzling and brilliant. So Rupa Goswami says, Sat Chaitanya Kame Punar Apidishor Yashati Padam. He's the eyewitness. Rupa Goswami is the eyewitness. But what kind of eye does Rupa Goswami have? What kind of seeing? And he says, will that divine image, form I saw with these eyes, will I see again? Srupam Bibrano Jagatatulyam Advaita Charja, Advaita Daita, his dear Advaita. As Guru Maharaj said once, Mahaprabhu said to some devotees, how would you rate my Advaita, my dear Advaita? And someone said, oh, like Prahlad Maharaj or Sukadev. And Guru Maharaj said, Mahaprabhu became enraged. My Advaita? He said, Sukadev, he's a boy from the other day. You dare compare my Advaita to them? Mahaprabhu can say that. We're praying for their grace. Prapanna, Srivasa, Paramananda, Janita, Paramananda, Gaurima, Paramananda Puri, his disciple of Ishwara Puri. Who is Paramananda Puri? Paramananda Puri in Krishna Lila is Uddhava. So Uddhava is right there in the thick of Gaura Lila, Paramananda Puri. So, and we're told that here Guru Maharaj says that Like sometimes Gurudev we see encapsulated in his pranam mantra by Srila Guru Maharaj, where it says, Guru Gunaya Shisha Sambhushitam. The Guru Gun means the Guru section. That means Guru Maharaj's God brothers. He's saying, Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj, he's got the blessings and the appreciation of all my God brothers. That's something extraordinary. Saying, besides being my dear disciple and fulfilling all my desires, all my God brothers, they've also fully blessed, empowered him, and they appreciate him. So Guru Maharaj says here, Paramananda Gaurima, that the Mahaprabhu took some pride, devotional pride, we can say, spiritual pride, and that the God brother, the disciple of Ishvara Puri appreciated him in a sweet way like that. We know that Krishna says, Na tata priyatama atma yonirna shankara, na cha sankarshana sri naivatma cha yatha bhavan. Says that how dear is Uddhava, and it should be noted that to a pundit, a South Indian pundit who knew all 18,000 slokas of the Bhagavatam, of which there are maybe 16,000 extant, he knew them all, and who had estimated that Chatushan, the 4 Kumaras, were the highest devotees. Guru Maharaj said he went silent when he said that, and then the men, who is the highest in your estimation? With 2 slokas, Guru Maharaj established this conclusion. 2 slokas. That's why we have Bharabahi and Saragrahi. One carrying the burden of 18,000 slokas and so many scriptures. But the Saragrahi can extract the meaning. That's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, the Saragrahi. O Saragrahi Vaishnava, so thou art an angel fair, in his song. And I used that as a quote the first time we published the picture of Srila Guru Maharaj, where he's wearing a turban, and he looks very beautiful. He looks like the Saragrahi Vaishnava soul, thou art an angel fair. Looks so angelic and beyond. So, Naivatma Chayatha Bhavan, Krishna is saying that how dear is a Natata Priyatama Atma Yoni, self-born Brahma, more dear than Brahma, Shankar, more dear than Shiva, Nacha Sankarshana, Sankarshan, by extension Baladev, Sri, Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, who's eternally residing on the chest of Krishna as the Sri Lekha, right? The golden line. Says, not only that, Naivatma Chayatavavan, he's more dear than my own self. Right? So now he's established the supremacy of Uddhava. And from the mouth of that Uddhava, who was sent to Vrindavan, Uddhava means who gives joy. He's like a walking festival. He gives joy to all the devotees. Krishna sent him there to, to console the Braja Gopis in the fire of their separation. And actually we can say that he sent him there to see their devotion. And what type of devotion he saw? Mahabhav. Familiar with the queens of Dwaraka and their devotional level. Still, there was something yet to be seen, and he saw the Mahabhav of Srimati Radharani and her intimate friends. And after seeing the depths of their love and affection for Krishna, and particularly the divine madness of Srimati Radharani in the Brahmar Gita, which Guru Maharaj said his godbrother considered that was his specialty. Sometimes on special occasions he would give something. We cannot, but suffice it, we can say from there we understand that pastime, that when Uddhava comes to see them, and he looks so much like Krishna, and he's wearing Krishna's clothes. He already looks like Krishna, but he likes to wear Krishna's clothes. That's mentioned in 11th canto. The prasadi, the mala, will wear the mala, the garland, any dress from the deity, that will also be worshipable. So they say Uddhava, he looks a lot like Krishna, and they realize he must be Krishna's messenger. He's sent by Krishna with a message that they should not give up hope. But at that time, when they were wondering, who is this boy? He looks so nice, and he must have been sent by Krishna for us. That one gopi noticed a big bumblebee, yellow and black, going, and she started in her divine madness to address that bumblebee. And Rupa Goswami, Vishnu, they analyzed 10 different types of divine mad talk, prajalpa, but we're told that some acharyas saying that Krishna came in the form of that bumblebee to observe this level of divine love and affection being exhibited by her. But at any rate, after witnessing this is the point that I'm trying to make. After witnessing the divine madness of Srimati Radharani as expressed in the Brahmar Gita and the others, then Uddhava concludes by saying, Asamaho chararenu jashamahang sham Vrindavane kimapi gumalato sadinam Yad dushtajam swajanam arjapatam chihitva Bejur mukunda parivim shrutibir vimrigyam. Saying what the Vedas are searching for, what they're indicating, what we find is indicating the Vedas, the Upanishads, etc. They've got, it belongs to them. Right. So he's saying, so what is my aspiration? An atomic presence in this divine domain where they reign. As a blade of grass, lata, or creeper. When we went to Lalita Bar, and what is it called? Uchagaon? Yeah, where Gurudev indicated some special appreciation and connection with that. It's the place of the house of Lalita Saki. Some little girl attached herself to our group while you're going to, and everywhere we went, she went. And I asked her, I said, what is your name? And she said, Brajalata. So Uddhava says, Asamaho charanarenu jushamahangsham Vrindavane kimapi guma lata latoshadinam lata oshud lata a brajalata. I'd like to be a brajalata. And his conclusion, Bande Nanda Brajastrinam Pararenum Abhikshnasa Yasam Hari Katod Gitam Punati Bhuvanatrayam. And when those Braja Gopis, the others, they're doing their butter churning and their bangles are making sounds like cymbals, and they're singing the glories of Krishna everywhere and everything is becoming purified. And that Uddhava is in Gaura Lila as Paramananda Puri. So Janita, Paramananda Gaurima. But before that, Prapanna Srivas, the surrendered Srivas Thakur, so surrendered to Mahaprabhu. When his son died during a kirtan, he wouldn't interrupt the kirtan. He didn't want that the death of his son would come to the ear of Mahaprabhu and disturb his divine mood and ecstasy. In the other room, his wife and all the ladies crying there with the little dead boy, and Srivas Thakur would not disturb Mahaprabhu. As hours went on, the evening went on, and the kirtan concluded, and the Mahaprabhu came to external consciousness. When it was brought to his attention that the son, Gopal, of Srivas had died during the kirtan, he said, bring the boy. And everyone's weeping and wailing, and there's the little boy, and Mahaprabhu says, Gopal, get up. And then Gopal, my Lord, I am your eternal servitor. It is only by your divine will that I appeared in this family, and I am here for some time in your pastimes. If it is your will that I go on to... Gopal. And then Mahaprabhu concludes, he says, this Srivas, Prapanna Srivas, where are you gonna find anyone like that, with that type of devotion? And he said, and I tell you, he does this 3 clap. He said, if Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, if she has to beg door to door to feed his family, they will never go without. That's my guarantee. Lakshmi Devi will beg on their behalf. That's what you call it? What is it? Not a paradox. Almost like an oxymoron. The goddess of fortune. Anyway, you get the idea. Any questions?
Didn't you say, otherwise I'll throw myself in the Ganga? Srivas said.
If he can't feed his family?
How do you maintain your family?
Oh, I clap, and otherwise I think so. I'm not recalling it fully now, but that sounds correct. Any questions? Now that I've intimidated everybody? There, Professor.
He's saying that sometimes Gurudev was comparing Srila Maharaj with Ramananda, right? And sometimes with Rupa Goswami.
Mm-hmm.
What is the basis for these comparisons?
Well, I think we discussed Rupa Goswami. Right? The parallels in the poetic expression and ontological substance. And this is very important to understand, actually. So, and just a little backstory. Srila Guru Maharaj, he grew up in a household where they spoke Sanskrit, conversational Sanskrit. And even his aunties, the ladies, they also spoke Sanskrit. Because once, for some reason, he had to be under the care of an auntie for a year or two. And so you can imagine, they put Guru Maharaj, People loved Guru Maharaj also when he was a child. One man used to put him on his shoulders and carry him around. Think about it. But so for 2 years, like he just loved Guru Maharaj, like he'd carry him everywhere. So Guru Maharaj was in the house of an auntie for 2 years under her care, and she detected that he had some anti-female sentiments, even as a young boy or something. And she realized, if he's going to stay under my care, we need to like settle this at the beginning. So it's like, young man, I detect in you some lack of appreciation, for the striga, the ladies section. And the Guru Maharaj said, well, I've read certain statements in the scriptures. Because he's ruled by Shastra. He already is very much acquainted. He's Ramendra Chandra Bhattacharya. So he's in a guru line, Bhatta Acharya. Right. Everyone, the ladies also know some scriptures. So she said, oh, you've read some things in the scriptures about ladies. She said, did you also read that the ladies are to be regarded as Lakshmigan? Lucky, as goddesses of fortune? And she quoted some shastra to that effect. And because she could quote some scripture for what she was saying, Guru Maharaj accepted it. He goes, when I considered that, then I had to readjust my position. So then he revered ladies as being representatives of Lakshmi Devi. He reconceived the ladies section. So, and by the time he was in his teens, he was composing Sanskrit poetry. And there's so many other things. But what I mean to say is, just to give some backstory to him and his position. Like his mother too, she called him Ramu, was her affectionate name for him. And when he was so lacking interest in the world, this is where the parallels start getting a little closer. They thought he's the eldest son and he's not going to marry. He's not inclined, even though he regarded ladies as Lakshmigan. So it's on his deathbed, his father he said, I want you to promise that you will get married. And classic Guru Maharaj, remember, Guru Maharaj cannot lie. So his father's deathbed, he's saying, he calls him to, my last request, my last earnest request is that you shall marry. And Guru Maharaj said, I cannot promise, but I'll try. He wouldn't say, yes. No, he said, I can't promise that. He said, I'll try. And he did for some time, and it was a divine history there. And Guru Dev, in honor, he made the Shanti Sarovar in Hapania. And now is not the time for all these details, but she left the world, others left the world, even Gaudiya Math devotees, they're saying, Prabhu, you better, like how many more indications does Krishna have to give you? How many more people have to vanish from your life for you to understand this is where you're meant to be? So when he came, the time of Harinam, his name was already Ramendra Chandra. So Saraswati Thakur gave Ramendra Sundar, and Guru Maharaj said, what is the meaning here of Rama? He said, Radha Raman, Raman Radha. And Guru Maharaj said, 50 years later, those words are still ringing in my ear. And Ananta Vasudeva Prabhu and the others, realizing he'd been given some Madhura Rasa instruction, they were saying, you're very fortunate. They wanted to know what sort of Harikatha Prabhupada gave at that time. So he became known as Ramendra Sundar, and was, even as a white-clad he was known to be an excellent preacher on a preaching party and getting recommendations from Ban Maharaj, from others, to Srila Saraswati Thakur about saying that whether it's with an ancient Sanskritian or a modern educated person, he maintains the dignity of Mahaprabhu's Krishna conception and establishes its supremacy, getting glowing recommendations. So when Srila Guru Maharaj he got the save of going to Godavari, where the Ramananda Samvad took place, the meeting of Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy. And there, just incidentally, Ban Maharaj says that Guru Maharaj gave a lecture there that was the greatest lecture ever given. And he'd heard everyone. He said it was the greatest lecture of all time. So he also recommended Srila Guru Maharaj for sannyas. But before that, he's Ramendra Sundar. So this is not accidental or incidental. It's very significant. He establishes the Gaudiya Mat in that place. And Guru Maharaj, by his own admission, his whole ontological method and system is extracted from the Ramananda Samvad. That is entirely his expertise. And what is it about? Without going into the details, gradation. If you want to see a consistent theme in what Srila Guru Maharaj reveals, it's about gradation. Knowing, being able to weigh, measure, to assess and assign value, and then understand what place it occupies, what is below that, and what is above that, which is in essence, what the Ramananda Samvad, its style, if you want to call it, not style, well, I say ontological method. So that, by his own admission, he says, everything I get from here. Once, after offering myself to the lotus feet of Guru Maharaj and his seva and coming under his shelter, some years went by and I got to know him in greater intimacy and with Srila Gurudev. And so but I noticed I'd never seen him read anything for years. Anything. When I presented Sri Guru and his grace to him, and I put his picture on the cover purposefully, there was a reason for that. And Gurudev gave him like the big magnifying glass. That's what he used to look at some with. Because his glasses, he would joke, he'd say, there's no difference whether I have them on or they're just for show. But he's got this big like Sherlock Holmes magnifying glass, and we're holding Sri Guru, and he goes, picture of myself. This picture, and I'm on the other side, and when he's going like this, I see his face is going, it's like getting bigger. Because really, it's like that. This was not a little, this is a big one. But anyway, so no reading. So I said to Gurudev once, I said, besides someone would read him the newspaper or he'd hear the news, that kind of thing. I said to Gurudev, does Guru Maharaj ever read anything? Or have you read him? And first Gurudev said about like how that was long ago his personal reading. And even from the Western scholarly section, I'm not going to mention the names, but some of the greatest literary figures in the Western world and literary critics, one such writer said of a critic, as a compliment, said, he reached the stage of his ability to interpret literature, said, where reading was no longer necessary for him. And this is from those who believe how it's through reading that you become in touch with yourself, expand your consciousness. They said, this person reached the stage where reading was no longer necessary. And I thought, oh, like Srila Guru Maharaj. At any rate, Gurudev told me, and he said, oh, one thing. I said, oh yes? He said, yes, one thing he asked me to read him from time to time. I said, what is that? He said, Ramananda Sambad. Every now and then he would go over it again, some particular section. He more or less, by heart, knew the whole chapter. But sometimes he'd like to hear a particular section. So you see, in recognition of establishing the mat there and of this extraordinary ability to extract spiritual substance from the Ramananda Samvad itself, Srila Saraswati Thakur changed his name from Ramendra, even though he was already initiated, he changed his name from Ramendra Sundar to Ramananda Das. So if we look at the end, toward the end, after the Premadhamma Stotram, the main slokas are finished, and it's the concluding slokas, one will mention, he'll mention himself as Ramananda Das. So that's where this connection comes from. Ramananda Sambad. And Guru Maharaj saying that only there does Mahaprabhu reveal, only to Ramananda does he reveal who he is internally. As I told the other day, to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Shadbhuj. And we can see, these are all divine personalities. We pray to be atoms of dust at their lotus feet, but our acharyas have given some type of analysis so we can understand certain things. So Guru Maharaj would say, according to Sarvabhauma's necessity, 18 interpretations of Atmarama, whereas Sanatan draws out 61. So to Sarvabhauma, who's Brihaspati, being entering Gaur Lila, also according to Guru Maharaj, Shadbhuj, so Ramachandra, Krishna, Gauranga. Who was Ramachandra? Who appeared as Krishna? Now he's appeared as Gauranga Mahaprabhu to establish his divinity. But the Rasaraj Mahabhav Duyek Rup, that's revealed to Ramananda. There, that's the only place where we see who Mahaprabhu is internally. Radha and Govinda combined. Rasaraj Mahabhav Duyek Rup. As we told, when Ramananda, toward the end of their dialogue, says, and we told that same thing about the Jati Vesh, the sannyas, clothes glowing. It's mentioned in the beginning there, when Ramananda comes with his group and they see Mahaprabhu on the shore of the Godavari, it looks like the sun dressed in saffron garments. Like the sun itself is sitting on the banks of the Godavari dressed as a sannyasi. That type of... So at the end, toward the end, Ramananda says, I no longer see a sannyasi, I'm seeing, Shama Gopurup, Shama Sundar Krishna. And Mahaprabhu responds by saying, oh, you're a Mahabhagavata, wherever you cast your glance, you see Krishna. So you look at me, you're seeing Krishna. And Ramananda is saying, please, my Lord, don't tease me. Because not only do I see Krishna, but I see a golden girl, and her effulgence is covering Krishna. Right? One day, with Bhakti Charu Shami Maharaj, we were discussing, and Guru Maharaj having a delightful discussion, and he said, Radha Bhavadu, how Bhav should be rendered? And this is interesting because I could show 100 places where he's used the word mood. But this particular day, he's thinking on another level. And Guru Maharaj would sometimes say things to me like that, like excitedly call me and say, this just came to me. Not 40 years ago, this just came to me, something like 2 days ago. Like a child, very eager to share this. So on this particular day, he's saying, Bhav. First I said, either I said emotion, no, sentiment, mood. Radharani's mood, her mood can change. She can have different moods. And different devotees are suggesting different words. And that's when Srila Guru Maharaj said, heart, her nature, her character, her heart and halo. That's where he used that expression. Bhav and Kanti, heart and halo. So Ramananda is saying, I see Krishna is enveloped in the heart and halo of this golden girl. What am I seeing? And Mahaprabhu, realizing he's been found out, discovered. He can't hide himself from Ramananda. Says, I can't hide myself from your loving eye. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena. Okay. All these things are connected. He said, yes, this is who I am. Rasaraj, Mahabhav, Duya, see how they're mingled. And Ramananda faints. And when he awakens, Mahaprabhu is again as a sannyasi. Hare Krishna.